let's break down these quarterbacks. We have our top 6. We'll talk about one ideal landing spot for them, talk about them a little bit. We have a lot of agreements, but there is difference. So we'll start with your quarterback 6 in the 2023 draft, Tanner McKee from Stanford.
So Tanner McKee, he's a guy, good physical profile, plays good football, but he's just not dynamic enough, in my opinion, to crack into that top 5. But I think he inevitably is quarterback 6 in this draft. My thing about it is once, so I think the grand scheme of things, I think 4 quarterbacks go in the top 10. And then we kind of sit and wait, right? And then it's really open season from there. I think all of these guys past the top 4 guys could go second round, they could go third round, they could go 7th. I don't really fucking know because it all depends on value. Now, Hendon Hooker, which is a guy we'll talk about, I think he's a second, third round guy. I think Tanner McKee's probably third, fourth round guy. Just depends on how the dominoes fall. But my ideal landing spot for Tanner McKee is a little bit of Lamar insurance, right? Like, we don't know if Lamar's situation is going to be handled by the draft, by the start of the season. I think the Baltimore Ravens go out and get a guy just in case, because isn't Tyler Huntley also a restricted free agent?
They tendered him, but he is a free agent.
Yeah, so there is a reality where they don't have either. I don't think they spend a high pick on it, but I think they address the situation in the draft later on. So that's why that's the ideal landing spot for me. I don't hate it, but I don't think he fits what they've been doing. But they also got a new offensive coordinator, and they're very adaptable to whatever they've got to deal with. So Tanner McKee of the Ravens.
All right, I like that. Tanner McKee's my quarterback 7, just outside. My quarterback 6 is Stetson Bennett, who I actually also have preferred landing spot as the Ravens, following his offensive coordinator from college, Todd Monken. And I honestly think as a spot starter in Baltimore, Bennett, assuming that you could run similar plays outside of the quarterback runs, Stetson Bennett actually might be a fine spot starter for Lamar. He'll be really good in the offense. He knows what they're doing already. So I like Bennett. He's only 5'11". That's a knock. He came out as a senior. That's a knock. 4'6", 740. He has a really clean career passing profile in terms of analytics, outside of the fact that he didn't have a 35 touchdown year. But he's projected as a backup. He doesn't need to be all green on the analytics. I really like Bennett. I think he'd be a good fit as a backup quarterback in Baltimore under Monken, as college coordinator. However, this late, you really don't know, and all these guys are backups.
Yeah, I agree. I think the offensive coordinator hiring says a lot about how they feel about Lamar, because that guy has not had a guy like Lamar. So to say he could coach Lamar to a successful situation is kind of a reach in itself. Yeah, I like Baltimore to address the quarterback situation at least slightly. I mean, if they get 2 firsts out of Lamar after the draft, so it's a 24-25, they take a guy to get him through a year. I don't hate it.
No, I don't either. All right, Caden, your quarterback 5, Hendon Hooker.
Hendon Hooker. He's a guy that is impressing very much in interviews from what I've read. He's got definite value. I see him as a round 2 type of guy going to Tennessee. And the reason that I feel like that's going to be a thing is Tennessee has bigger issues at this moment than quarterback. Their offensive line is garbage, and that's, part 1.2 of their whole fucking game, right? They're a run-first team. Derrick Henry, they cut Taylor Lewan and Ben Jones. both key contributors. And, Taylor Lamont got a little bit hurt last few years. But those are all critical pieces to the Derrick Henry running down your throat game. So I think they've got to go offensive tackle round 1, but he's a guy I'd like to see them end up with in round 2. We talked about it, Malik Willis. I remember hearing a scout say he's a couple years away prior to the draft, which, he snowballed down to the 3rd round, which at one point we thought he was going to be a 1st-round guy. So he's probably not the answer. And then we also had the conversation about, do they eat Ryan Tannehill's contract this year?
Yep.
I don't know. I don't think it's worth it, probably, because he hasn't been good the last 2 years. He had good years in Tennessee. Absolutely. He kind of surprised us a year or two when he first got there, but he's not that guy anymore. And they've got to make that realization and make that move. And I think Hendon Hooker is the perfect person to do that.
Yeah. So we'll talk about Hooker later. I am very high on Hooker, but let's have a think about Anthony Richardson. So 6'4", 245, 4'4", 340. And he's a junior declare. That's where the green stops, right? He had under 500 career pass attempts, meaning he couldn't beat out other guys on the same roster. Sure, the quarterback before the current quarterback or the current coach at Florida wasn't the greatest coach, but he still wasn't on the field. So he's not on the field. He had a quarterback rating under 75. He didn't throw for 3,300 yards or more in his best season. Didn't have a 35-touchdown year. Under 8 career yards per attempt. 3.8% interception rate. And 59.4% best year completion percentage. The guy can play football.
You're saying this is your number 5, right?
Yeah. Just because he's fast. Literally.
So here's my question for you then. Is his ceiling Justin Fields today, or is his ceiling
so we kind of have to think about it. Imagine if Lamar Jackson and who did I comp it to? Imagine if Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen had a child, but it had the arm and decision making of Colin Kaepernick. So, quarterback 7. But not for long. Not for long. That's the thing. This is a 2 to 4 year span where he's a productive quarterback.
So, where do you see him going in the draft?
Okay, where do I see him going, or where do I think would be best for him to go?
I want to hear both.
Where I think he's going... God, I still couldn't come up with a good spot. Dude, if I'm being honest with you, I think he falls out of the top 5. I think Indianapolis goes Levis if they go one of the 2. So I think he falls out of the top 5. Maybe Seattle. Maybe Seattle is the realistic spot for him. Now, where do I want him to go is Philadelphia at 10. They trade Jalen Hurts after this year. Don't have to pay him. Get 4 more years at quarterback at cheap with Richardson and a similar skill set, and then do the same thing in 3 to 4 years.
So you're saying Philadelphia is just going to be a quarterback recycler?
Get the most athletic, strong-armed quarterback each year, give him a year to sit and develop, and then make a decision.
It's not the craziest thing I've heard. But I mean, we all know so fast forward a year and they might have a Lamar situation on their hands.
Yeah.
Lamar's contract is going to define the rest of the NFL for the next 10 to 15 years.
Yep.
Because he either goes and gets that fully guaranteed contract, and then that's going to be the norm. Right? Because every quarterback's going to be like, well, Deshaun got it, Lamar got it, I want it. and you can't say no to a Joe Burrow. You can't say no to a Justin Herbert. You can't say no to a Lamar, I'm sorry, a Jalen Hurts. Or he doesn't. He doesn't get it, and then it kind of sets Deshaun Watson shit as an outlier.
Yep. I know it'll be interesting. I think that's the big brain move though that no one's thought about is that, and I understand, but I'm not that high on Hurts. So, all right, Okay, well, your quarterback 4 is also Anthony Richardson, or it is Anthony Richardson because he's my 5. Why do you think he has a higher ceiling than Hendon Hooker?
Draft capital, and that's really it.
Does it really matter at this position?
Yes.
Does
for
it
at least a few years?
If you're in the top 50 pick?
Yeah, because I think he's going to be a top 5 pick. Do I think he should be? Probably not. But I've been a well-documented Jim Irsay hater. He is, like I told you the other day, he is new age Jerry Jones, and he is going to cripple that franchise forever. I think he just kind of got lucky on the Andrew Luck thing, but his decisions past that have just been terrible. They get good players, but I kind of feel like by no fault of his own. He smells like the type of guy that will go out and get Anthony Richardson. And I wouldn't be surprised if there is another trade in this first round. It's Indy paying to go up where Arizona is and get Anthony Richardson.
You could also see that happening.
And in my opinion, I see Anthony Richardson as a guy who should probably go end of the first round. He's got a Lamar Jackson skill set. He's got a lot of development that it's going to take to be an NFL starter if he's even able to achieve that. Loaded with question marks right now. Is the athletic profile there? Yeah, it is. But there's a lot of shit that could happen to where he doesn't end up being Lamar Jackson.
Lamar was so much better as a passer than Richardson in college. I can't even put it into words. I mean, it's like the difference between Tom Brady and Brock Osweiler in the NFL.
Hold on.
Yes. Oh, no. Yes. Oh,
we don't speak that name around my house.
Oh, yes. Okay. So my quarterback 4 is Hendon Hooker, and here's why. Had he played a full year, not torn his ACL, he would have green passing metrics. His issue, he came out as a senior, a little bit of a fluke. He started at Virginia Tech. He played well, but not exceptionally, but with little talent around him. Goes to Tennessee. Hupel runs a super simple offense to play in. It's not uber complicated, but you do have to make throws in it. Hendon Hooker did that. So, obviously, like we said earlier, landing spots are what make or break these players. I don't claim to know more than the NFL. So, this is super subject to change based on landing spot. Mm-hmm. But say Hooker goes to a team like Minnesota. He gets to sit for a year. He gets to learn the offense. It's a complicated offense, but the quarterback's reads aren't all that difficult. It's very much based on a couple of different guys, and there's a lot of play action and runs, and it's helpful for quarterbacks in that offense. If he goes somewhere like Minnesota, that might be light-skinned Kirk Cousins. I mean,
I like that landing spot. I mean, I really do.
Realistic, late first, early second.
You look at Hendon Hooker and you're like, there's a 50% chance he goes to a good landing spot where he develops and he can take over as an average starter, and this could be said about all these guys, but there's a 50% chance he goes to a team that he's just not going to do well with. And I like Minnesota as a landing spot. They cannot keep. Here's the thing. That is a decent team that should be better than they are. And it's not necessarily O'Connell's fault. It's not necessarily anybody's fault. I just don't think Kirk Cousins is a Super Bowl level quarterback. Now, is he a serviceable starter? Sure, but he's getting fully guaranteed money every fucking year for the last. He was the first guy to get it. Because he got a 3-year deal and then a 1-year deal and then another 1-year deal. So, yeah, I just don't think he's the guy to get him to the promised land. So maybe Hooker is it.
Yeah. All right, these next three we are in agreement on. So let's jump through them quick. We're running short on time. All right, both of our quarterback threes are Will Levis. Who's your ideal landing spot?
Raiders.
I like that. Go ahead.
I kind of see them as, Jimmy Garoppolo is clearly a gap fill type of guy. A really good gap fill, but he is not the long-term answer. And I think Will Levis is going to take some development at the next level. I kind of smell him as like a Josh Allen. And if Josh Allen had a couple years to sit, he would have had a lot better welcome to the league.
Yes. Josh Allen had rough years. My ideal landing spot, and it's not going to happen probably, is Green Bay because he ran that LaFleur McVay offense in college. They have some guys there. He could sit behind Jordan Love. I don't think we don't know. From what it sounds like, Jordan Love probably isn't the long-term guy. So get Will Levis in there and let Jordan Love play this year, next year, and then evaluate where you're at.
Well, the last time a Packers quarterback was traded to the Jets, the guy that started after him had a Hall of Fame career. So,
I am aware. All right.
What's that?
Quarterback 2, C.J. Stroud.
C.J. Stroud. So I think C.J. Stroud's going to go 1.
Yep.
I think I've seen a lot of things, read a lot of articles. I think they're honing in on C.J. Stroud. Now, truthfully, I'll go out and say it. He might be the better passer. But he also played with a loaded offense his entire career. So I wonder how his transition to the NFL is actually going to go. He's not going to have an elite offensive line. He's not going to have elite receiving cores around him. And this has been my long-standing thing. I think Bryce Young is the better or the more prepared to start day one. But I think C.J. Stroud is the better passer. But he's going to take some development, right? So I think him to Carolina at 101 is going to be the thing. I just think it takes a little bit longer to get the wheels off the ground.
Agreed. I really like Stroud. And you can tell Carolina's something for a rookie. Can't tell yet exactly what. We can. But for a while there, you weren't sure how it was all going to piece together. But now that they have Chark, it looks really good. And it wasn't super expensive. All right. I also have Carolina. I think that's obvious. I just said that. I think that's pretty clear. Quarterback 1, both of us. Bryce Young, both of us have him likely going to Houston. I will go here with, I think his ideal landing spot is Indianapolis with Shane Steichen, though. I think he would be a beauty in that offense. I don't think Richardson's a good football player. He might put up good fantasy numbers for a few years, but he won't make it to his 5th-year option. And if he does, he won't make it to a second contract there as a starter. Bryce Young.
Right. Bryce Young, to me, so he's small, right? Like we're having this conversation over and over and over again. A lot of Kyler Murray comparisons, but I think what separates him from Kyler Murray is just maturity, football IQ. He's got what you can't teach, and I think that's what makes him the best quarterback in the draft. I really, really, really hope that Carolina goes Stroud at 1, because Bryce Young, he can get out of the pocket, he can do things, but he's also he's the dude. He's the dude that I hope ends up in Houston.
Are you ready? How mad would you be if you guys drafted Will Anderson?
Not terribly, because in my mind, then here's the thing: is every fucking year, right? There's a generational defensive talent. The thought in my mind, and I know how Nick Casario is on a fine line, right? You don't want to be picking high enough next year to have a chance at a Bryce Young. That's got to be the mindset for that guy, because he should have got fired last year, but he didn't. You don't want to be in the conversation for a franchise quarterback for a 4th year in a row. You know what I mean? That doesn't bode well for your employment status. So I think they go quarterback at 2, whether it be Bryce Young, CJ Stroud. I think it's going to happen either way.
Yep. Agreed. All right. Anything else we want to touch on?
Good luck. I'm in my week and a half underdog draft. I think we're only in the 10th round.
Nice. Yeah, I knew when you did that it was going to be long. I do the long drafts on it.
It's fucking so long, dude.
Something people would really not give a single fuck about. A long draft on underdog for $5 would be one.
10.
Yeah.
That's the big money.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching. We will be back next week talking about running backs.